We've got three signals on the board, one of which developed into our latest named Storm Dexter off the mid-Atlantic coastline. We have another area of suspicious interest right off the immediate southeast coastline, a very familiar spot for the first 2 months of the hurricane season, and our first area of interest associated with a tropical wave meandering off the coast of Africa. And there are plenty more to come. Welcome back to the Weather Center, everyone. Thank you so much for taking some time out of your Monday afternoon or evening to join me here in the Weather Center. And thank you to those of you who tuned in for our last-minute live stream yesterday evening. We haven't done a live stream on the channel in quite some time, and thankfully everything cooperated. And if you weren't available yesterday and haven't watched the instant replay, we're going to start to do at least 1 or 2 live streams recurringly week to week as we go through these busy phases. Remember, busy is different from active. Right now, we are fairly busy, and we're getting active. We have one named storm on the board, and we're going to talk all about that today and get you all the latest information you need to stay ready and ahead of the curve as we go through August together. We're going to be tracking everything together, so if you haven't done so already, please kindly consider hitting that subscribe button. I need everybody watching this, please. I'm looking right at you. Give that like button a little nudge. Let's share this information with those you believe would benefit from it. And let me know in the comments section where you are watching from, because we have a very dynamic setup in play, not only over the next 3 to 5 days, but for much of the month of August. And let's go ahead. We're going to rock right into it. Here is National Hurricane Center's homepage. We have our 3 areas. Dexter. Top left corner here, you can see still a 45-mile-an-hour tropical storm with a central pressure holding steady at 1,002 millibars as of the 11 a.m. advisory. Still moving off towards the northeast at about 14 miles an hour, and I do forecast it's going to pick up some forward progress as it does so and becomes reabsorbed in the same pattern, the jet stream that helped plop this area of energy off the east coast to begin with. This also came out yesterday, disturbance number 2 right off the southeast coast. I promise, this time it is not 93L. This is something new. I can promise you that, because I feel like we were doing the spinny wheel of 93L circling around, trying to run it back again and again. 93L is donezo. It's gone. This is something totally fresh and new. It's going to be interacting with a tropical wave that's currently moving up through the Turks and Caicos just to its southeast, alongside remnants of that decaying frontal boundary that's been upping our thunderstorm and even our severe weather chances out here, not only in Florida, but for Alabama, Georgia, and South Carolina. And then this disturbance here marked 0 for 50 as of right now. This one's interesting. It's already changing. The euro has been extremely back and forth, and to tell you the truth, the euro is not making our lives easy. My eyes are just burning thinking about how much I've been obsessing over the data for the first half of today, yesterday, and every which way but loose before making this update for you. We're still holding at 50% chance this does do anything over the next 7 days. Next name on the list would be Aaron. Now, it does seem like our AOI in the southeast has a better shot in the short term of garnering the name Aaron. So the next up would be Fernand. Let's go ahead and rock forward. We're going to get into our True Color Goes visible satellite, or I should say infrared. I don't know why I said visible, but anyways. Here is what we have going on. So right out of the gate, what I want to show you first and foremost is this. We do have Dexter in close proximity to this frontal feature that I'm drawing, but if you notice, we have quite an ensemble chain here of leftover energy that is plopped off in different corners of the world. This here is our tropical wave. It's getting closer and closer, interacting with the remnants of that front and some leftover spinach, vorticity left behind by Dexter right there. Dexter is becoming a bit more sheared as it gets closer and closer to the polar front jet once again, but we're also going to be watching down here as the interaction kind of crams itself together for an area of low pressure. All of our models are pretty confident that something is going to form. Now it's just a matter of dialing in the ceiling for it. Looking down over the Caribbean, we're doing pretty well for ourselves. Jamaica, Cayman Islands not dealing with too much in the way of significant thunderstorm activity. We've got some orographic thunderstorms firing up through Cuba, portions of Hispaniola, looks like interior Dominican Republic, and Puerto Rico. Shout out to my friends and family, everyone tuning in from down there. You guys are amazing. Thinking about you every step of the way when we're tracking these tropics. Here's your ITCZ. fairly decent, I wouldn't say it's benign, but it's not exactly excited just yet. But off the coast of Africa, far right-hand corner of your screen, you can see things are starting to act up as the wave train gets underway. Let's take you over to cyclonic weather, show you the water vapor satellite over Africa. You can see a moistening environment. I'm not too sure if a lot of you out there are going to like that terminology, but we're definitely starting to get moist with each individual perturbation, as it's called, wandering through the pattern. We have a wave that has technically splashed down right there. It's not too active right now. We'll have to see what happens overnight tonight. Then we have another wave back behind that, another wave back behind that, another one behind that, another behind that. You all know the song and dance. This is the MJO finally coming in to its favorable phasing, and it's going to be very interesting to see what happens when it parks between phases 1 through 3. Anywhere between 1, 2, and 3 usually favors lots of lift and additional moisture and instability for Africa, the Middle East, and the Indian Ocean, which contribute to this parade of easterly waves you see here riding that easterly jet out into our Atlantic basin, as well as helps give us a little nudge in the high to low pressure department across the Atlantic. Here's a very fast-paced glance at Dexter. Won't spend too much time here. You can see that mid to upper level vertical wind shear starting to act up on it. The swirl, the low-level spin is beginning to decouple, it looks like, from the mid-level circulation. The mid-level circulation's kind of wandering away with some of that convection here right there. In comparison to when we met last night during the live stream, the thunderstorms were still co-located over your low-level circulation. Now, big difference, if you look at your upper-level clouds here, some of that transverse banding and upper-level cirrus deck associated with the convection near the center, that's now being whisked off towards the northeast as well. So I do think the window of opportunity for Dexter to continue to strengthen is starting to dwindle. We'll have to wait and see what the 8 o'clock advisory looks like for this puppy. Unless they issue an advisory at 5 o'clock, see if it has strengthened at all. But I do think the clock is ticking for our D-named storm. Looking at your vorticity very quickly, we're not going to spend too much time here as well. We did a lot of talking last night. If you want to refer back to that hour-long live stream, feel free to do so. I'm more or less updating you on all the different things that we're tracking. If you look over the eastern I should say the western, sorry about that, the western portions of this hemispheric map here, we have the wave axes there and then that leftover frontal line. Those are the two that are coming together. And we're going to have to watch because ensembles, to tell you the truth, are still very, very all over the place. Some want to take it and follow Dexter in hot pursuit. Others want to take it into the mid-Atlantic. And now we have a number of iterations that take it across Florida, a la 93L all over again. So while it's not 93L specifically, we're kind of doing that same song and dance again, which has more or less characterized the first 2 months of this hurricane season. And this is the culprit as to why we're getting so active, and we are going to maintain this activity for much of the month ahead. You can see we haven't even fully come into the most favorable setup just yet. That's why I'm sure you've noticed that the 12Z GFS is a little wishy-washy. The euro has dropped and added certain things. We're waiting until maybe the 7th. I would argue and say the 7th. Once we've really gotten things to push through, we're not only opening up the tropical Atlantic, but we're also really establishing ourselves over Africa and wandering between phases 1 through 3. You look at the bottom of your Havmahler diagram here, and those are your quadrants, your phases. We are going to remain from about, we'll say, the 5th of August here, all the way down and beyond the 19th of August. So again, when I say hold on to your butts, we're going to have to be paying close attention to all these busy signals for at least a minimum of the next 2 weeks. All right. Going to start off with some of our operational models. This is the 12Z Euro right now, and it is showing a bit of a sportier low-pressure signal out there. Notice we get some ball of energy to start to deepen down within the next 3 to 4 days, so don't be surprised if at 8 o'clock tonight we see a nudge up to maybe a code orange off the southeast coastline. This is getting close to tropical depression, if not tropical storm intensity, as it makes its way towards the Carolinas borders, the state line between South and North Carolina. Carolina this upcoming Friday night into very early Saturday morning. The GFS echoes this same sentiment. If you take a look at this and it moves through time, there's Wednesday into Thursday, we start to see a little bit of clustering of that vorticity. You fast forward a little bit beyond that, albeit a little weaker, it shows signs of intensification just before moving inland around South Carolina. Both of them showing fairly equal amounts of intensity and the same general direction. So I think everybody, once again, from the east coast of Florida all the way through to the Carolinas should be paying attention to this. This could be another hefty rainmaker adding to our totals that have already piled up. Could be a little bit of a wind maker as well, especially if it does strengthen to become our next named storm, Erin. We'll have to wait and see what shakes out, but we are getting very close in time to where these high-res models are going to make a difference, or I should say these close looks at our global models are going to make a difference, and recon aircraft, recon crews are debating as to whether or not they're going to schedule a mission for Thursday. I believe it's Wednesday or Thursday. I looked at one of their briefings they dropped earlier today, and they're already tossing the ideas around of flying into a potential low-level invest off the southeast coast. Then we'll have to watch and see, because for some strange reason, there's also another vort piece that breaks away and starts to move into the Gulf. Now, for those of you watching from Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, don't freak out. I'm not saying anything big's headed your way like I know a lot of the other folks out there are saying. I'm just saying, there's little bits and pieces of energy all across this area and the enormity in our hot water temperatures that we'll have to pay close attention to. And then don't look now, but there's that area of interest coming across. GFS keeps it fairly tame until it hits that negative PNA pattern reestablishing itself and finds a really solid outflow channel to get underway. So we're going to have to wait and see with that. I wanted to show you just a quick glance at the probabilities over the next 2 weeks. We have a lot of different signals here to track alongside each other. We have what's left of Dexter. There's wave 2. There's remnants of wave 1 in that frontal line. And then we have multiple waves coming off of Africa, generally towards the west-northwest. So the Lesser Antilles, the Greater Antilles, all the way through the Bahamas. I'll go ahead and draw it in yellow so it stands out. This whole area over the next 2 to 3 weeks needs to keep their eyes open. Now, there's a difference out there. Don't flame me in the comments politely. I know a lot of you are a fantastic audience, and I love all of you. And the folks who come in and throw some negativity, you're still taking the time to click the video, even if it's not with the most amazing intentions. Don't come after me. Don't sharpen the pitchforks. I'm not saying get ready. I'm saying just got to keep paying attention. It's naturally August time frame. We're getting closer to the historic peak of the season, so this is naturally going to happen, and we have a more conducive setup over the next 2 to 3 weeks to provide us with a little bit of additional action, so you guarantee we're going to be holding it down here in the Weather Center. This here is what I'm really watching. Ensembles as we go over the next 7 to 10 days. If you watch, we're continuing to see random nudges in that first AOY. Still showing development, albeit we've seen a bit of a tick downward in overall ensemble support. Same thing with the East Coast. If you look off the East Coast of the United States, we're seeing a bit of an increase in the individual members kind of going all over the place for that secondary spin, possible weak tropical storm to try to develop off our immediate coastline. But then it's down the road. Remember I mentioned an upper low, kind of segregating the pattern just a little bit, separating our subtropical high pressure over the central Atlantic. Well, that could possibly dork some things up, and I think that's what we're seeing here with such an enormous split, dispersion in our ensemble members, and why the global models, the deterministic ones, are struggling so bad. Models suck full-heartedly with cutoff features, especially under what this would technically be similar to a Rex block. Not a full Rex block, but a similar pattern. It's going to get caught underneath our subtropical ridge and work its way slowly through the pattern, so models are going to really have a hard time with it. They always have been. They're notorious with that. But once that comes and goes and we have some additional tropical waves out there, look what happens there. And this is within the 10-day window. This is about another week out. We get more signals chirping and perking up, and then we're off to the races. We'll have to pay very close attention to that because there's some strong, Very strong ensemble members out there. The AI model is showing much of the same. We'll just rapid fire right on through. Good consistency in terms of our ensembles. Although with the AI model, I'm not a fan of the spread. The spread reduces my confidence, but the signal is there. And even the Canadian model, I'm showing that more so for shoots and giggles right now. The Canadian model is starting to latch on to our features as well, showing a bit more of a signal out there, especially very similar to the GFS with some latent development. Some of the previous model runs, before we get ready to close out the video, some of our previous model runs probably got a lot of folks excited out there. We're going to see development in the greater tropical Atlantic. We got to hold on. We got to rein the emotions in a little bit. We have to remember the MDR has not been all that favorable this year. You really get a nudge in the instability department, the moisture, the lack of wind shear, and a lot of the hot water once you get beyond 50 to 60 west. So let's not get carried away in trying to vote systems off or vote them on, whichever, going wide right or wide left too soon, because we still don't have an organized system. We don't have any invests out there. We're still watching signals. So don't be surprised if deterministic models go back and forth before we get beyond the eastern and central tropical Atlantic, where things are still trying to get their act together. As we go past the first 10 to 14 days of August, I do think we're really going to improve across the board. But right now, I'll go ahead and bring the screen back up for you. Right now, it's truthfully only this general area of the Atlantic that is good to go. And even then, the Caribbean, you can write that one off for the time being, at least for another 7 or so days. It's really just the western and southwestern Atlantic is your favorable pocket. We're giving this another 5 to 7 days to see how much moisture we can get off of Africa. If that easterly jet helps to increase a little bit of the lift and the MJO does establish itself like it's forecasted. So that's that. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Remember, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, drop them in the comments section down below. Thank you all once again for the kind donations and the generous support you showed during yesterday's live stream. Can't wait to host another one, and I can't wait to talk again soon. But until next time, this is Weather Center Nazario, signing out.